10 Golden Age stars whose wives always cheated on them. Hollywood's Golden Age wasn't just golden on screen. Behind those perfect publicity shots and glamorous premieres lurked a world of betrayal that studio fixers worked overtime to hide from the public. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Hollywood's most explosive secret. The leading men who conquered the box office while losing the battle at home. The stars you idolized, the men millions of women fantasized about, were often going home to wives who were secretly stepping out on them. These weren't just random affairs. They were calculated betrayals that left Hollywood's biggest names emotionally shattered. While they kept smiling for the cameras, what you're about to discover isn't in the authorized biographies. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about 10 Golden Age icons whose private lives were nothing like the romantic ideals they portrayed on screen. And the most shocking part, some of these legendary men never even knew the full extent of their humiliation until decades later. I suppose you didn't hear her say anything either. Well, you see, I was kind of tired and I wasn't paying much attention to Why Don't You All Want Humphrey Bogart? It's a tough guy who couldn't tame his sluggy wife. Long before Humphrey Bogart found lasting love with Lauren Beale, America's favorite tough guy was trapped in a marriage that could have been scripted by the writers of his darkest film noirs. His third wife, Mayo Method, wasn't just difficult. She was legendary for her volatility, earning the nickname Sluggy for her tendency to become physically violent during their epic alcohol-fueled arguments. While Bogey lit up the screen, his wife lit matches at home, and rumors say she wasn't lighting them alone. Their Homeb Hills estate became known around Hollywood as Sluggy Hollow, an ironic twist on the idyllic-sounding Sleepy Hollow. Witnesses reported seeing broken dishes, shattered glass, and even furniture thrown from windows during their legendary battles. What few people realized was that Method's legendary jealousy wasn't just paranoia. It was classic projection. According to multiple sources close to the couple, including servants and neighbors, Mayo entertained numerous visitors when Bogart was filming or promoting his movies. There was a particular delivery man who seemed to need an awful lot of time to drop off packages, noted one neighbor. Sometimes he'd arrived minutes after Bogey left and wouldn't leave until just before he was due home. Bogart suspected these betrayals, but found himself in an impossible position. Male stars of the era were expected to control their households, and admitting his wife's infidelity would have been seen as a humiliating failure of masculinity. It's potentially damaging to his tough guy image. Perhaps most ironically, Method's jealous rages about Bogart's potential affairs increased in direct proportion to her own indiscretions. During the filming of Casablanca, when Bogart was working long hours, Mayo's visitors reportedly became even more frequent. Their marriage finally ended in 1945, when Bogart fell in love with his young-to-have and have-not co-star Lauren Beale. While this relationship is often portrayed as Bogart leaving his troubled wife for a younger woman, insiders suggest a different narrative. Bogart finally found the courage to leave a destructive marriage after years of quiet humiliation. Madre, I don't think that's very nice, making fun of my Spanish. 2. Daisy Aries. When Lucy decided to play that game, America's favorite redhead and her Cuban bandleader husband presented the perfect picture of matrimonial comedy on I Love Lucy. Their on-screen chemistry captivated audiences, making them television's first superstar couple. But behind the scenes lurked a marriage riddled with infidelity, and not just from the notorious Desi. They both stepped out. But Lucy knew how to do it without getting caught. D'Arnaz's womanizing was Hollywood's worst-kept secret. His infidelities were so numerous and flagrant that even studio publicists struggled to contain the stories. From chorus girls to prostitutes, Arnaz seemed incapable of fidelity, often not even attempting to hide his betrayals. Desi wouldn't just cheat, he'd do it in public places where he was certain to be recognized, revealed one CBS executive. It was as if he wanted Lucy to find out. For years, the narrative centered exclusively on DeCeCe's betrayals and Lucy's patience. But recently uncovered accounts suggest a more complex reality. Lucille Ball eventually began having affairs of her own, not out of a desire to find new love, but as a calculated response to DeCeCe's ongoing humiliation of her. It was a form of emotional survival for her, explained one longtime friend. After years of public humiliation, she decided that what was good for the goose was good for the gander. But unlike DeCece, she was brilliant about keeping it quiet. While Discretion conducted his affairs with reckless abandon, Lucy was strategic and discreet. She reportedly developed close relationships with at least 2 of her co-stars, always being careful to maintain plausible deniability. Lucy was a genius about protecting her image, said a former studio publicity agent. She understood that while audiences might forgive Discretion for his indiscretions, they would never forgive her if she was caught doing the same thing. What made this situation particularly poignant was that despite their mutual infidelities, Lucille Ball and DC Arnaz genuinely loved each other. Their passionate connection never fully disappeared. Even after their divorce in 1960, they couldn't live with each other. But they never really moved on emotionally, observed one longtime family friend. Even after both remarried, there was always this current between them. Clark Gable and Carole Lombard returned from Kingman, Arizona as Mr. and Mrs. Clark Gable. But even a girl like this thinks he's wonderful. 3. Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, dethroned at home. Clark Gable, the dashing star who made women swoon as Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, was Hollywood royalty in every sense. Dubbed the king of Hollywood, Gable's masculine appeal made him the industry's most bankable leading man for decades. But before finding happiness with comedy queen Carole Lombard, Gable's earlier marriages revealed a man who wasn't always king of his own castle. Hollywood's king wasn't always in charge at home. Gable's first 2 marriages to Josephine Dillon and Maria Langham have long been subjects of curiosity. Both women were significantly older than Gable, Dillon by 17 years, Langham by 11, and both were wealthy. Cultured women who helped transform the rough-around-the-edges young actor into the sophisticated star he would become. Josephine treated him more like a project than a husband, revealed one MGM colleague. She refined his speech, paid for his dental work, guided his career. But she also kept him on a very tight leash financially and socially. This control reportedly extended to Josephine maintaining her own independent social life, which several sources suggest included relationships with other men. Given the significant age gap, some historians believe their marriage may have been more of a business arrangement than a romantic partnership. There were definitely men who visited Josephine when Clark was away on location or at studio events, claimed one neighbor. Whether these were romantic entanglements or just social visits was never clear. But the frequency and timing raised eyebrows. Gable's second marriage to Maria Langham followed a similar pattern. Another older, wealthy woman, Langham provided Gable with stability and social connections. But again, sources suggest that Maria maintained relationships with other men. Particularly when Gable's rising fame began keeping him away from home, Maria had a particular friend, European gentleman who seemed to appear whenever Clark was away, noted one Hollywood hostess. They were very comfortable together in a way that suggested a long-standing intimacy. This changed dramatically when Gable met and fell in love with actress Carole Lombard. With Lombard, a successful actress who was closer to his own age, Gable finally experienced a partnership of equals built on genuine passion rather than convenience or career advancement. With Carole, he was a different man, observed one studio insider. For the first time, he seemed truly in love rather than just playing a part in someone else's production. But you were working like a convict in a granite quarry, weren't you? I chose to do it. Why? Don't you know? 4. Gary Cooper, The Gentleman's Agreement. Gary Cooper embodied American values on screen. Integrity, straightforwardness, and moral clarity defined his most famous roles. But off-screen, Cooper's 28-year marriage to socialite Veronica Bealf, now known as Rocky, operated under principles that would have shocked his fans. A sophisticated arrangement that both parties understood but never publicly acknowledged. They had a silent agreement. Don't embarrass each other. Just don't get caught. Cooper's affairs were legendary in Hollywood circles. His romances with co-stars, including Grace Kelly, Patricia Neal, and Ingrid Bergman, were poorly kept secrets. But what remained hidden from public knowledge was Rocky's response to her husband's wandering eye. She eventually established her own discreet relationships. Rocky wasn't naive, explained one longtime family friend. She came from high society where marriages like theirs were common. The only rule was absolute discretion and maintaining the public facade of the perfect marriage. According to sources from their social circle, Rocky began having her own well-behaved flings after about a decade of marriage. Once she realized that Cooper's infidelities were a permanent feature of their relationship, she was much too sophisticated to Cree.